Hey, it's Don the Auction Professor here with what I would call a BOLO in my area. I know most BOLOs are clothing that I see or books and things like that. But I have certain things that I always look for. Always be on the lookout for sheet music. There's different kinds, there's different breakdowns, there's any kind of sheet music could be worth some money. But there's several different formats that you need to be aware of. Let's see if I got one of each in here. Here is the smaller size format. This size or smaller gives you an idea. This is the large format. They vary in size too. There isn't exactly a standard exact measurement, I would say, for each individual one, but there's smaller ones are newer. 1920s on, they started making the small size. It was cheaper. The war was on, and they just never went back to the big format. These were easier to hold. They fit on the stands better. But this is a small format. And then, as I said, this is a large format. I look for both, but distinguishing-wise, the large format in the general scheme of things can be worth more than the smaller, newer format. On the large format, one thing to always look for would be military. Military almost always sells for me. This one I haven't looked up, but I'm literally going to probably put at least $57.50 on it right off the bat. General Woods Grand March. McKinley is a company I look for in these too. It's not so much important who made them, because sometimes on things like this, you might find like some small company you've never heard of that made them locally. Those are usually worth even more. But on something like this is probably World War I. He's probably someone famous. A military collector would buy this just because of General Woods. So it's a double interest piece. It's a high dollar piece. $57.50 is what I would put on something like this. Another thing I always look for is John Philip Sousa. First editions of his music can go for hundreds of dollars. This is an early one. This is a John Church. It's a name brand. 1897. So this is Spanish-American War. I'm not sure on the exact date he came up with this, but let's see if there's a secondary date on it. That might help us out too. So this is a used piece that's got pencil on it. It looks like it's actually... Let's read my Roman numerals. 5, 6, 7. Yes, this is everything on here says 1897. So this could be a first edition. If it is, it could be worth a few $100. This came with the other lot I had showed in another video that I paid a total of $133 for everything, including all this sheet music. I don't usually mess with trying to get these off, but there is an easy way to do it if you wish to. On some I have in the past. This one I probably just leave it the way it is. It adds to the authenticity, and it's possible that this person is someone known. It's possible. But again, this one I'm going to have to look up, but I would not take probably less than $57.50 without even any knowledge on it. And again, John Philip Sousa. This is another format that you will see. This is actually a sheet music book. Same thing, this is just his music. I have not seen this one before. Again, it came with the same one. John Church, again, same era probably. It's a nice picture on the cover. I'm going to check out the date. 1906. This is a secondary one after his, and it does Stars and Stripes. Again, reiterate that it's 1897, so that one I'm looking more and more like it's the first edition. I'll have to look who originally did it. But this is probably in the same ballpark. I'm going to have to research it. Books like this from famous people I sell all the time. Jazz greats from the 20s and 30s pre-war, that would be determined to sell great. John Philip Sousa, this should sell very well. Without even researching it, I wouldn't put less than $75 on it and see where it goes from there. Again, military, John Philip Sousa. There's so many items to say, it's hard to tell you any specifics, but these are ones that I picked out of stacks. Big stacks, probably hundreds of them, and this is all I got out of that. It took me, say, an hour to get the ones you see here. Probably less than that, probably 30 minutes. I'm fairly quick. I know what I'm looking at. I don't take more than a few seconds to look at the cover of each one, and then I move on. This is a Woodrow Wilson piece. I've had this one before, even with the chew damage on here. It probably will still sell. I wouldn't expect to get less than, say, $14.50 to $17.50. Again, this one could be worth $57.50. I'll have to look it up. Speak a word for Wilson. Good one. I don't know the exact date. I haven't looked at that yet. 1919. Again, these are written in Roman numerals, so know your Roman numerals. Study them. If you're going to mess with any of these Roman numerals, make sure you know them. This is another one area that you can always buy. Big key thing is to make sure it's all there. This is complete. Always look at the number. The numbers on the bottom aren't necessarily the page number on these. That's the number for the song itself, the actual sheet itself. Sometimes you won't see numbers on the first page or it starts at 3 because they consider the cover as 1, the inside is 2. So pay attention and get an idea on how the numbers work on things like this. This is complete. This one I bought for one single reason, because it's actually the Wizard of Oz. Now, the Wizard of Oz that most people know is Judy Garland. It came out well before that. Let's look at the date on this. I believe the earliest Wizard of Oz piece I've seen is in the 1890s. This one is 1905. There was actually a teleplay in the 20s, I believe, or 1910ish, that did a actual recorded version of it. But anything Wizard of Oz usually sells. Tale of a Troll. I have not seen this particular one, but even in the condition, this rough condition, I usually get 17 bucks or so for the Wizard of Oz ones, or more. I've sold a couple of the earlier Wizard of Oz in really good condition for 95 bucks. Here's another smaller format, so you can see the small format. These two are fairly close. Yeah, they're pretty darn close. I'll show those in just a second. Another one that I always look for is George Cohan, however you want to pronounce it. When You Come Back, this is a World War I piece. He wrote Over There, if you're not familiar with the song. I'm not going to sing it to you since I have a terrible singing voice. But pieces like this will sell for 17 to 34 bucks all the time. Again, not all war ones are worth money. If you get them cheap enough, though, in a huge tote or a tub, I can buy 100 pounds of sheet music sometimes for, say, 50 to 100 bucks. Even the ones that have been gone through from other people, at that price, you cannot go wrong. Subject matter matters. Something you can frame. This is Yankee Doodles in the Fight to Stay. This is another World War I piece, I believe. It could be Spanish-American War. They're all large format from that size. No, it's 1918, Roman numerals. So again, know your Roman numerals. This one, because of Spirit of 76, I'll probably put, say, 34.50 or higher. I'll do the small ones at the end so we can keep them in a stack together. Sahara, Monte Cristo Jr. This is a neat cover. It was done at the Winter Garden. It's a Winter Garden production, the annual hall event. That's a specific place. I've had other pieces from there. The date on this is 1919, again, Roman numerals. And this one's probably a $34 starting price, maybe even up to $57.50. Monte Cristo is something that's popular and sells. Here's another one. Somebody's been around here since I've been gone. It's a good subject matter. It's 20s, I would guess, maybe earlier. Let me look. It's actually before 20s. It's 1907. This era, they span back in the same style and design back to the 1880s. Stuff like this sells very well. This is probably an early jazz piece, $57.50 minimum. And on to the small size. I took jazz history in college as well, too. The Vamp is a popular one. The record itself sells very well. A lot of these items here, the records will sell just as well as the sheet music. So if you know the sheet music, chances are you can figure out the records from there. But these kind of pieces on this size sell for the artwork itself. Someone will buy this possibly and frame it, or they'll like the Vamp. It's a classic, so I'm probably thinking $17.50. Back in Hackensack, New Jersey, the ones that say specific cities sell well. Hackensack, this should be a decent one. It's actually talking about the town. Wolverine Quartet, it's a known group. This is probably a World War I-ish. Actually, it's past that, 1924, Roman numerals. But this is a pretty decent piece. I'll put $27.50. Stuff like this might take 6-7 months to sell, maybe even longer. But for what I get into it, and even considering the cost of it relisting, 60 cents to relist this for a whole year. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's actually less than that depending on how you set up your stores, if you've got more than the 10,000, or just open a second or third store to have the 10,000 at the cheaper 4-cent or lower rate. So, anyway. The Airboy ones sell. This is Up in the Airboys. This is a good one. It's an early flying one. Lou Brown, Common, Van Tilzer. Anything by him I usually try and grab if it's cheap. A lot of the ones are early jazz, banjo, things like that. The date on this one here, 1919, again, Roman numerals. A key thing, as I said, Civil War sheet music will always sell, at least military-themed ones. Religious ones pre-1890 usually don't sell at all, or you'd be selling them in a huge lot. Those would be items you want to sink nothing almost into. Military ones with actual specific unit or regiment listed on the sell. Anchors Away, even from World War II, that's a seller. Up in the Air, Keep 'em Flying. The graphics sell them. It doesn't even matter what, so to speak, what the music is itself in some of these. Some of them sell because it's got Rudolph Valentino on the cover, or Elvis. I sell every Elvis, 10, 12 bucks a piece, minimum. Some of them, they go higher. Famous people like that, David Cassidy, I Think I Love You would sell. Even up to today, I sell Soundgarden all the time. I love the 90s. My playlist, while I'm doing most of my listing, or even the people that are here, is a 90s alternative for most of it. Soundgarden sells well. Any of the 90s, Jane's Addiction, anything. I just sold Black Hole Sun. That was a $50 piece. The alternative 90s sell even better than some of the earlier pieces. So even the 80s will sell. Madonna will sell. Ones tied to movies will sell. People frame them. The list of items that'll sell is huge. Most people don't mess with sheet music. They don't know what to look for. Again, military sells. I've sold some for specific hotels in the past. There's a island that's out here in Lake Erie, out a little ways from us, called Put-in Bay, Ohio. I sold the sheet music from the hotel that burned down, the Victoria Hotel. It actually went to the museum there. I got $175 for that one piece of sheet music, and that's not an anomaly. I sell a lot in the 100+ range. It just depends on the subject. Christmas sells well. Halloween sells incredibly well all year round. I wouldn't wait on sheet music on stuff like that. Christmas ones sometimes, yes. Early banjo sells. Von Tilzer, as I said. Early jazz sells. The jazz greats always sell. Not the common ones, but again, it just depends on the actual song that's on it. So it's hard to give you a generalized rule, but military with specifics, hotels, movies, World War II, as I said, can sell. Like if it's Sink the Bismarck or something along that line, or in the Führer's Face, which is a classic. There's a Disney version of that as well too. The Donald Duck, I think, is on the last one of those that I sell, but there's more than that versions of it. Das Boot, which is a German film, I sold the sheet music from that. It's a newer movie. It's from the 80s. I saw it when we took German in high school. So there's a wide range of sheet music to look for, but I hope that gives you an idea. You've seen some examples. These are ones that I picked out, as I said, that should sell, but there was probably others there that I just didn't want to mess my time at. $1 a piece is what I paid for these on average. A couple I paid $2, well worth it though. Charles Lindbergh ones always sell. Lucky Lindy, the Eagle they call them, anything like that, look it up. Advertising ones sell. I've had a Titanic sheet once before, and I got $450 out of that. There's a couple they say in remembrance that show a sinking ship on the cover. That's a fairly common one. It's dated 1912. I can't remember the title of it, but you can literally see it. You'll see 2 or 3 of the masts sticking out of the water on the cover. I've had this one I don't know how many times, and I do run into it quite often. It's $15-20 minimum. If you put Titanic in the title, you can usually sell it for 40 or so. But that's about it for me. If you want a detailed one, maybe I can go into a much more detailed and show you some of the other ones. I've got 1,000 of these or more of sheet music right now in stock. I probably got 300 up maybe right now. So that's sheet music. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and tell your friends. Have a good day.